Bulgaria, a country rich in history and culture, has long been a crossroads of civilizations. Nestled in the heart of the Balkans, it's a place where ancient Thracians, Slavs, Bulgars, Romans, and Byzantines left their mark. But have you ever wondered about the genetic story behind the Bulgarian people? What secrets does their DNA hold about their ancestors and the events that shaped their identity? Thanks to modern genetic research, we now have a clearer picture of the origins of Bulgarians. New studies using ancient and modern DNA are revealing fascinating insights into the migrations, invasions, and cultural exchanges that contributed to the genetic tapestry of this nation. From early hunter-gatherers to the influential Thracians, and from the Slavic migrations to the legacy of the Bulgars, the story of Bulgaria is written in its people's DNA. Today, we'll explore 8 key chapters of Bulgaria's genetic history. We'll uncover surprising ancestral links, connections to ancient civilizations, and how the genetic diversity of the Bulgarians continues to evolve in the modern era. So, let's dive into this fascinating journey and unravel the genetic origins of the Bulgarian people. To understand the genetic origins of Bulgarians, we need to first appreciate Bulgaria's unique geography. Situated in Southeast Europe, Bulgaria is at the heart of the Balkans, a region that has been a natural bridge between Europe and Asia for millennia. This location has made Bulgaria a cultural and genetic melting pot, shaped by waves of migration and conquest throughout history. Bulgaria's geography is incredibly diverse, with mountain ranges, fertile valleys, and access to the Black Sea. These features have attracted settlers since ancient times, creating a long history of human habitation. The Danube River to the north and the rugged Balkan Mountains served as both barriers and conduits for migrating populations. This dual role of geography, sometimes isolating, sometimes connecting, has played a critical role in shaping the genetic makeup of the Bulgarian people. The Balkans have always been a hotspot for human activity. During prehistory, it served as a corridor for the first modern humans who entered Europe from Africa. Later, during the Neolithic period, it became a gateway for farming communities migrating from Anatolia. Over thousands of years, this constant movement of peoples turned the Balkans into one of the most genetically diverse regions in Europe. For Bulgaria, this geographic and historical backdrop set the stage for its genetic story. Each wave of migration added a new layer to the genetic pool, from the ancient Thracians to the Slavs and Bulgars. And because of its central location, Bulgaria was influenced not only by neighboring Balkan peoples but also by distant cultures, including those from the Mediterranean, Central Asia, and beyond. In short, Bulgaria's geography has been both a blessing and a challenge. It attracted settlers and traders, enriching the genetic pool, but it also exposed the region to invasions and conflicts, which further shaped its genetic story. Understanding this geographic and historical context is essential for appreciating the genetic complexity of the Bulgarian people. The story of Bulgaria's genetic origins begins tens of thousands of years ago, with the first hunter-gatherers who roamed the region during the Paleolithic and Mesolithic periods. These early inhabitants left behind not just tools and artifacts, but also a genetic legacy that persists in modern Bulgarians. During the Neolithic period, around 7,000 years ago, a major transformation occurred. Farming communities from Anatolia began migrating into the Balkans, bringing agriculture, advanced technologies, and a significant genetic contribution. These Neolithic farmers mixed with the local hunter-gatherer populations, creating a new genetic blend that forms a key part of Bulgaria's genetic foundation. Fast forward to the Bronze Age, and we see the arrival of steppe nomads from the Pontic-Caspian steppe, modern-day Ukraine and southern Russia. These groups brought not only new technologies like horseback riding but also genetic traits that remain prominent in Bulgarians today, such as lactose tolerance and specific immune system adaptations. By the end of the Bronze Age, Bulgaria's genetic makeup had become a rich mosaic, combining the legacies of hunter-gatherers, Anatolian farmers, and steppe nomads. But the genetic story didn't end there. The region's central role in the Balkans meant that new migrations and cultural exchanges would continue to shape its population for centuries to come. These ancient genetic contributions set the stage for the emergence of one of the most influential groups in Bulgarian history, the Thracians. But before we dive into their story, let's take a moment to reflect on the enduring impact of these early populations. Their genes form the bedrock of Bulgarian ancestry, providing a glimpse into the ancient world and the forces that shaped modern Europe. Among the most significant contributors to Bulgarian genetics are the Thracians, an ancient group that dominated the region for centuries. Thracians were renowned for their advanced culture, exceptional warriors, and sophisticated artistry. But who were they, and how did they shape the genetic story of Bulgarians? The Thracians were an Indo-European people who inhabited the Balkan Peninsula as early as 1500 BCE. They formed a loose network of tribes, which thrived in what is now modern-day Bulgaria, Romania, and northern Greece. While they left behind few written records, their cultural and genetic impact is undeniable. Recent genetic studies of ancient Thracian remains show that their DNA is closely related to both local populations and Indo-European groups from the Eurasian steppe. The Thracians contributed significantly to Bulgaria's genetic makeup. They were direct descendants of the Bronze Age cultures that settled the region, carrying genetic traits from Anatolian farmers, hunter-gatherers, and steppe nomads. This blending of influences made the Thracians a genetic and cultural bridge between ancient and medieval populations in the Balkans. One fascinating discovery is that many modern Bulgarians share genetic markers with ancient Thracian remains. This continuity suggests that the Thracians didn't vanish with the Roman conquest, as some historians once believed. Instead, they intermingled with new populations, preserving their genetic legacy within the Bulgarian gene pool. In addition to their genetic contributions, the Thracians left a cultural imprint that can still be seen today. For example, Thracian rituals, craftsmanship, and even linguistic traces influenced the cultural identity of medieval Bulgaria. Their burial mounds, or tumuli, scattered across Bulgaria, stand as a testament to their enduring presence. However, the Thracians were not isolated. They interacted with other ancient civilizations, including the Greeks, Persians, and Romans, which added further complexity to their genetic and cultural story. By the time the Romans arrived, Thracian society had already absorbed diverse influences, creating a dynamic and resilient population. The Thracians are a vital piece of the puzzle in understanding Bulgarian ancestry. They represent a direct link to the ancient world, connecting Bulgarians to a time of immense cultural and genetic fusion. The genetic evidence is clear. The Thracians didn't just shape the history of the region, they are still a part of Bulgaria's living genetic story today. The arrival of the Roman Empire in the Balkans marked a transformative period in Bulgaria's history. For centuries, the region that is now Bulgaria was a critical part of the Roman Empire, serving as a bridge between Europe and Asia. This period introduced new cultural, linguistic, and, importantly, genetic influences to the Bulgarian population. When the Romans conquered the Thracians in the 1st century BCE, they incorporated the region into the province of Moesia. The Roman presence brought an influx of settlers, soldiers, and traders from across the empire. These individuals hailed from diverse regions, including Italy, Greece, the Middle East, and North Africa, leaving behind a complex genetic legacy. Archaeological and genetic evidence reveals that Roman rule added Mediterranean and Middle Eastern genetic markers to the local population. For instance, studies of ancient remains from Roman-era Bulgaria have uncovered DNA linked to southern Europe and the Levant. These findings highlight the far-reaching impact of the Roman Empire, even in the genetic fabric of populations on its frontiers. Roman infrastructure, such as roads and cities, also facilitated the mixing of populations. Urban centers like Serdica, modern-day Sofia, became melting pots where local Thracians, Roman settlers, and other groups intermingled. This urbanization introduced new genetic diversity while also preserving the core ancestry of the Thracian and Balkan populations. The Roman Empire's fall in the 5th century CE paved the way for the Byzantine Empire, which controlled the region for several centuries. The Byzantines brought additional influences, particularly from Greece and Anatolia. Byzantine rule reinforced existing Mediterranean connections and further enriched the genetic makeup of the Bulgarian population. However, the Roman and Byzantine eras weren't just about addition, they also saw continuity. Genetic studies suggest that the Thracian and Balkan genetic core persisted throughout these periods, blending with new arrivals rather than being replaced. This resilience speaks to the deep roots of the region's ancient populations. By the time of the Byzantine decline, Bulgaria had already begun to emerge as a distinct entity, shaped by centuries of cultural and genetic exchange. The Roman and Byzantine legacies laid the groundwork for the next pivotal chapter in Bulgaria's genetic story, the arrival of the Slavs and Bulgars. The 6th and 7th centuries brought two major waves of migration that forever shaped the genetic and cultural identity of Bulgaria, the arrival of the Slavs and the Bulgars. These groups fused with the local populations, laying the foundation for the modern Bulgarian nation. The first wave involved the Slavs, who migrated into the Balkans from Eastern Europe. These agrarian communities brought a distinct genetic signature that is still prevalent among modern Bulgarians. Slavic DNA is associated with Eastern European populations, and its arrival in the Balkans introduced genetic traits related to adaptation to colder climates and agricultural lifestyles. The Slavs didn't just bring new genes, they also brought their language, which became the basis of modern Bulgarian. Soon after the Slavs, the Bulgars arrived. This semi-nomadic group had Turkic origins and hailed from the Pontic-Caspian steppe. Their migration introduced Central Asian genetic markers to the population. Unlike the Slavs, the Bulgars were a warrior elite who established the First Bulgarian Empire in 681 CE. Despite their Turkic roots, the Bulgars quickly assimilated into the local population, adopting Slavic language and customs. The fusion of the Slavs, Bulgars, and the existing Thracian Roman population was a complex process. Over time, the Bulgars' Turkic genetic signature became less prominent, diluted by intermarriage with the Slavs and Thracians. However, certain traits, such as Y chromosome markers linked to Central Asia, remain detectable in modern Bulgarian DNA, serving as a reminder of the Bulgars' contributions. This blending of populations gave rise to a unique genetic and cultural identity. The Slavs provided the linguistic foundation, while the Bulgars contributed to the political and organizational structure of early Bulgarian society. Together, they formed a cohesive identity that persisted through the centuries. Interestingly, genetic studies show that while modern Bulgarians have significant Slavic ancestry, they are genetically distinct from other Slavic populations like Russians or Poles. This distinction reflects the influence of Thracian, Roman, and Bulgar ancestry, which gives Bulgarians their unique genetic profile. The Slavic and Bulgar migrations marked a turning point in Bulgarian history. They didn't just add new genetic layers, they also solidified the cultural and political framework of the Bulgarian people. This chapter demonstrates how migration and assimilation can create a vibrant and enduring national identity. One of the most fascinating aspects of modern genetic research on Bulgarians is the discovery of unexpected ancestral links. While the Slavic and Thracian influences are well documented, recent studies have revealed surprising connections to distant regions and populations. For example, genetic markers in Bulgarians show subtle but notable connections to Central Asia. These traces are believed to be remnants of the Bulgar migration, which originated in the steppes of modern-day Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. This Central Asian influence is most apparent in specific Y chromosome haplogroups found in a minority of Bulgarians, indicating a lasting imprint from the Bulgars' Turkic origins. Another surprising link is to populations in the Near East. Genetic similarities between Bulgarians and ancient Anatolian farmers suggest a deep historical connection, likely dating back to the Neolithic migration of farming communities from Anatolia into the Balkans. These early agriculturalists not only shaped the genetic makeup of Bulgarians, but also influenced the broader cultural and technological landscape of the region. Even more intriguing are genetic overlaps with Mediterranean populations, particularly those in southern Italy and Greece. These connections likely stem from the Roman and Byzantine periods, when the Balkans were a melting pot of Mediterranean and Balkan cultures. Trade, intermarriage, and conquest introduced new genetic elements that are still detectable in modern Bulgarians. Regional genetic differences within Bulgaria also reveal surprising patterns. For instance, people in the Rhodope Mountains exhibit slightly higher levels of Thracian ancestry, while those in northern Bulgaria show stronger Slavic genetic markers. These regional variations highlight the complex history of migration and settlement across the country. Perhaps the most unexpected finding is the genetic similarity between Bulgarians and other Balkan populations, such as Romanians, Serbians, and Greeks. This overlap reflects the shared history of the Balkans as a crossroads of civilizations. Despite political and cultural differences, the genetic data underscores the deep connections between these neighboring peoples. These surprising ancestral links remind us that genetics is a global story. The Bulgarian gene pool is a mosaic of influences from Europe, Asia, and the Mediterranean, reflecting thousands of years of migration, trade, and cultural exchange. It's a testament to the interconnectedness of human history and the enduring legacy of the ancient peoples who shaped the Balkans. Today, Bulgarian genetics continues to evolve, shaped by modern migration, globalization, and scientific discovery. Over the past century, Bulgaria has seen an influx of new populations, particularly from neighboring Balkan countries and the Middle East. These migrations are adding new layers to the genetic story, further diversifying the population. In urban areas like Sofia and Plovdiv, multicultural communities are thriving, blending traditional Bulgarian ancestry with genetic contributions from across Europe and Asia. This ongoing diversity is a reflection of Bulgaria's history as a crossroads and its modern role in a globalized world. Genetic research is also shedding light on health and disease within the Bulgarian population. Studies are uncovering genetic predispositions to conditions like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. By understanding these genetic factors, scientists can develop targeted healthcare strategies that benefit not only Bulgarians but also populations worldwide. At the same time, researchers are working to preserve the genetic heritage of earlier generations. As modern influences continue to shape the gene pool, scientists are using ancient DNA studies to document the genetic signatures of Thracians, Bulgars, and other ancestral groups. This work ensures that Bulgaria's rich genetic history is not lost but remains a valuable resource for understanding human evolution. Looking to the future, Bulgaria's genetic story will continue to evolve. Climate change, urbanization, and shifts in diet and lifestyle may lead to subtle genetic adaptations in areas like metabolism and immunity. Meanwhile, advances in genetic technology promise to uncover even more about the ancient and modern influences that have shaped the Bulgarian people. Ultimately, the genetic origins of Bulgarians are a living narrative, one that continues to unfold. From the Thracians to the Bulgars, and from the Slavs to modern multicultural communities, the story of Bulgaria is one of resilience, adaptation, and connection. It's a story that reminds us of the power of diversity and the enduring legacy of our shared human ancestry. So, what have we learned about the genetic origins of Bulgarians? From the ancient Thracians to the Bulgars, and from the Roman Empire to the Slavic migrations, Bulgaria's genetic story is as complex and fascinating as its history. It's a tale of cultural blending, migration, and survival, written in the DNA of its people. Modern genetic research is helping us uncover the mysteries of Bulgaria's past, revealing surprising links to Central Asia, the Mediterranean, and beyond. These discoveries don't just illuminate the history of Bulgarians, they also connect them to the broader human story, showing how we are all part of a shared genetic legacy. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of Bulgarian genetics. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the genetic histories of nations. Let us know in the comments what surprised you most about Bulgaria's genetic story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.